Hey, chefs. It is Evelyn here. Happy Tuesday. I am just getting ready for the Chefpreneur Academy orientation live stream that we are doing tonight. So for those of you that are in the Chefpreneur Academy, I will see you at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we're just going to kind of go over what the next 90 days are going to look like. But I wanted to come on today and do yet another video about pricing because, like you guys said in the poll that I put out, you said that pricing was, that came out to be number one, with marketing being second and branding being third. And I'm definitely going to get to those, but I definitely wanted to talk about pricing today. And I wanted to share with you like the 5 things that I really needed to know to start charging higher prices in my chef business. And it's not going to be what you think, what most people tell you how to charge, which is just, hey, your food costs, your time, people, etc. Like, it's not just going to be the tangible things. Those are super important, and those are definitely a factor in pricing. But I kind of want to share with you the 5 ingredients to charge higher prices in your chef business. And I will say this: I'm going to go through the 5 of them today. I'm not going to be able to go through them in a great amount of detail. I'm going to go through them in a lot more detail when inside of the Chefpreneur Academy. So the five ingredients to charging higher prices. It's like these 5 things have really changed the way my business runs. These 5 things change the way I interact with potential customers and clients. These 5 things change the way I respond to questions about my pricing. So, and I got my little notes here. I've got the 5 things on my sheet of paper. So, anyway, and if you have questions along the way, you guys, please feel free to leave them in the comments of this video. And if you have chef friends, and I meant to say this, who you think would benefit from some of the videos that I'm doing or just being a part of this group, please invite them to this group so they can see these videos, so that they can interact with the community. This group is definitely open to positive chefpreneurs, or those who are aspiring to be. So let's get into the first ingredient for charging higher prices in your business, and it is justification. Okay, and basically justification is really you sitting down and going through, what all is it going to take me to deliver this product and or service, right? And so whether it's a product or a service, there's more that goes into it than the actual just sitting there and executing the product or service, right? And also the materials, right? And so for those of you who have the Chefpreneur Starter Kit, in the bonus section, I kind of go through, there's a phrase that I use that helps to justify my pricing, that I put in all my proposals and I put in all my invoices, right? But, if you really sit down and you think about from conception to execution, what is it going to take for me to deliver this product or service to this customer? And you know that readily, whether the customer knows it or not, right? Because it's not their job to know, it's our job to know, right? So the first thing you need is justification. You need to know this is what it's really costing to deliver this product or service, right? So yes, your food costs, your material costs, and your time is in there, but what else, what other energies are you expending to be able to get to that point, right? So the first ingredient is justification, okay? So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes, right? The second ingredient to charging, the second secret ingredient to charging higher prices, and this is going to sound a little woo-woo, but roll with me, is confidence. And that comes from justification, right? So, you have to be confident in your prices. Recently, I was making an opportunity to some chefs to work with me. inside of the Chefpreneur Academy that I've mentioned, right? And one of the persons asked me, hey, that's out of my budget. Will you give me a discount? And I very lovingly explained to the person, no, that I would not. And the reason that I did that is because I had the confidence, because I knew I know the value that is inside of that coaching program, right? And so it's no different. And I very calmly, wasn't rude. I wasn't trying to make them feel bad, right? They asked, a question, and I answered it the best way I knew how. And I have been willing in my career to bypass opportunities to work with, corporations or people or individuals who couldn't afford my prices, or it wasn't in their budget, or it wasn't a priority for them at the time, or whatever the reason, right? There's no judgment there. But knowing that it costs what it costs, right? And that if I was not the best fit for what they wanted to spend, I didn't take that personally, and they shouldn't take it personally that I didn't want to do that, right? And so I'm telling you the same thing in your chef business, right? So whether you are doing custom cakes, whether you are doing, elaborate desserts, whether you are doing meal planning, whether you are a personal chef, whether you're doing dinner parties or cooking classes or corporate demos or catering or whatever you're doing, set your prices in a way that feels good to you, that if this is what I get paid, I'll feel like myself and my client that we're both winning, right? Because what you don't want to do is set your prices in such a way that makes you regret your customers and your clients, right? I've done that, and it's not a good experience, right? You want to be able to set your prices in such a way that if you want to do a little extra or go above and beyond and just give that extra level of service, that you have the bandwidth financially to do that, and you don't feel that you have to be restricted. Let me give you an example. So when I used to do romantic dinners for two, right? I don't do them anymore, but when I used to do romantic dinners for two in home, I liked doing a full service thing. So I wanted to do menu cards, and I wanted to do candles, and I wanted to do flowers, and set the table and make it pretty, and do the food, right? And I remember sending an invoice to a couple, and what they wanted me to do was cut out all of that and then just charge them for just cooking the meal. And I remember thinking, well, no, because then I don't get to provide the experience that I want to provide. And so I declined working with them. I was like, hey, listen, this is the experience, right? Like, if you want, and I remember telling them, I was like, hey, if you would, I can opt that out, but the price stays the same, right? And so, I just communicated that with them because I had the confidence in the experience and the skill and the level and the quality of food that I was providing, right? So that's your second ingredient. Your third ingredient is knowledge. Okay, and let me say this. I think I shared this with you guys yesterday in another video, that I have, I worked with a woman who got me into a lot of corporations, and originally I had no idea what to charge. And she told me, hey, this is how much money they have available. This is what you can charge, right? And I will tell you, had I not had that information, I would have had no clue what to charge. I probably would have significantly undercharged these corporations and these organizations. And so one of the things that I'm going to be sharing in the Chefpreneur Academy is what I charge, right? And what's available, right? And so sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And that doesn't make you, not intelligent or, not smart or anything like that. It's just when you don't have information to knowledge, when you don't have access to information and you don't have the knowledge that something is possible, then it's hard to justify and have the confidence, right? So, knowing the knowledge, right? Early in my career, a way that I used to offset that is I used to ask people their budget. Now, here's the challenge. Not everybody wants to tell you their budget, right? Because they don't want to spend. Everybody wants a deal, right? So not everybody wants to tell you their budget. I'm now in a place in my career where somebody's budget is really not my concern. Because I cost what I cost, my services and my products, they cost what they cost, right? Regardless of somebody's budget. So I allowed them to make that decision, because when I was asking what their budget was, what I was really saying is, well, let me see if I can work within your budget and come up with something within your budget. I no longer do that. This is my budget. It costs what it costs, right? So the third thing is knowledge. You know, having access to people who have done what you want to do and know how to charge, have charged higher prices, right? Seeing that up close and personal. And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing in the Chefpreneur Academy, is kind of pulling back the curtain and showing, you know, what I personally charge, right? For different things and what I've charged in the past. Okay. So still looking at my notes. The fourth secret ingredient to charging higher prices in your business. And this one, I see a lot of chefs underestimate the power of this, which is your branding. Is your branding clean, cohesive, up-to-date, appealing, right? And I gave this example in a video that I did recently where I talked about, is your brand appealing? And comparing it to, you know, we all know the art of plating and the significance of plating a beautiful plate and presenting that plate to a customer or a guest, right? Depending on if you've worked in catering or in restaurants but we all know as chefs that food needs to be presentable. It needs to be appealing to the eye. It needs to draw people in. Like, people eat with their eyes first, right? And then smell. So it needs to draw people in. And the same is true for your brand. A lot of times chefs want to increase their prices, but their brand does not reflect a higher end brand, right? That the name is confusing. Nobody really knows what it means. It's not distinctive. The web presence isn't beautiful, right? You know, things aren't cohesive. You know, documents are missing from your business, right? Crucial documents, which is why the freelance chef starter kit is so useful, because it gives you an air of professionalism, right? I think I mentioned yesterday, I just booked a healthy cooking workshop with a lawyers association, right? And lawyers. And initially, I think they approached me thinking that I was going to do it for free. And very quickly, I sent them my materials, because I was prepared, my branded materials on, here are the services that I offer that fit under that category, and here are the prices that correspond to that. Here are the corresponding forms and the policies that go with this type of booking or whatever. And there was no hesitation on paying my rate, right? So branding is super, super important. And this is why this is going to be at the very beginning of the Chefpreneur Starter Academy, because I see a lot of talented chefs out there who cook amazing foods, and their brands are not reflective of the quality of service that they provide, right? So you want to make sure that your brand is as appealing as your food, that your online presence, your in-person presence, what you wear, your marketing materials, your social media, that all of that is as appealing or even more appealing than the foods you offer, because that is people's first interaction with you. Let me give you an example. This weekend, I went to a dear friend of mine's going away party. She's moving to another state. And her boyfriend was there. And as I was getting ready to leave, he said, I Googled you. I looked you up. And so he is in law enforcement and, wants to hook me up with doing things with law enforcement here in Dallas. And let me tell you something. What he said to me was, he said, being in law enforcement, we just don't use random people or even just random businesses because of security reasons, right? So most people that come in and do, whether it's catering or other things like that, are a referral or recommended from somebody that knows somebody, because if somebody has something against law enforcement or something like that, right, you know, it's a security risk, right? And so I didn't even know that this was happening. People are looking at you and your brand all the time, whether you think they are or not. If you are online, if you are out and you are marketing, people are looking at you and your brand all the time. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have looked me up either before you joined the Chefpreneur Society, before you decided to join the Chefpreneur Academy, before you bought the Freelance Chef Starter Kit. You know, when you first started following me on social media, I'm pretty sure you looked me up. Maybe you read my bio. Maybe you were like, oh, okay, let me see who this is. Let me see who I'm going to be interacting with. What is she about? XYZ 1, 2, 3, right? And so your branding has to be what I like to call sticky, right? It has to, people have to know that that's your brand when they see it, right? So, and that's one of the things, like I said, I'm going to be going into detail about in the Chefpreneur Academy, because that my branding took me places where my experience could not. When I cooked for my very first celebrity, I was still in culinary school. But I had a web presence, I had social media, whatever, and they didn't need to know I was still in culinary school. I was still, you know, an amazing cook back then, right? I had some natural talent before I went to culinary school. And so I got booked, right? When I had the opportunity, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bishop T.D. Jakes, right? He was one of my, like, my early celebrities that I cooked for. And doggone right, his children and his wife all looked me up before they booked me. Okay. And I got to cook for them multiple times, right? And do a lot of different things with their family. Okay. So branding is so important. Okay. So now let's go into number 5, and I'm a little bit over time. So let me get these this last one in. And the fifth and final secret to charging higher prices in your brand is you just have to ask. You know, once you have the justification and the confidence and what's available and your branding is tight, you have to ask, right? You have to ask for those higher prices. And I think I said in a previous video that when you are, you know, submitting proposals or invoices or something like that, if a little party doesn't go, are they really gonna pay me for this? Right? Like, you know, then it's probably time. If you're not feeling that, it's probably time to increase your prices, right? So a lot of business coaches, a lot of business mentors in the world, their first advice would be, well, lower your prices so you can get more sales in the door. I totally disagree. Lower prices means working harder and not smarter. Right. And so, but you have to ask. And that's where that justification and that confidence and that knowledge and branding. But let me tell you, even if you don't have the knowledge, right? If you've got the justification, the confidence, and the branding, you can get your foot in the door. It helps to know what's available, right? But like I said, I don't even ask my clients what their budget is anymore. This is what I cost, right? But you have to ask without wavering, and silence is completely okay, right? So a lot of times, you know, when people just, you know, I'm talking to people on the phone and they want to book, you know, my services, or they want to do some sort of business with me, and they ask my prices, and I tell them, I said, well, you know, it depends on the product or the service that they're interested in, but I may tell them, you know, what it is, or say, well, it starts at this, and then I'm quiet. I'm letting them take it all in. And then they're ready to roll, right? But the last and final secret ingredient to charging higher prices is you just have to ask. And so if you want to know how to do that with confidence, if you want to know how to justify your prices, if you want to get the knowledge right, if you want to get behind the scenes on what I've done and what I've seen other chefs charge, you absolutely would want to invest in your business and invest in yourself and join the Chefpreneur Academy. We're doing the orientation tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for those of you that are enrolled in that. Thank you very much. And then the first class is going to start on April the 24th, right? And so they're live, so you can ask your questions, but they're also going to be recorded so that you can have lifetime access and you can go back and rewatch them as many times as you want to, because as your business grows and changes and you want to reference that, and every time you go to a new level, you want to reevaluate your brand, your justification, your prices, right? Your confidence, right? Your knowledge. You want to go up to the next level. So anyway, please let me know if you have any questions about how to charge higher prices. I would love to answer that. Went a little bit over. I try to keep these at 15 minutes, but I went a little bit over in that. And I hope that these have been beneficial for you. Just to recap, number one is justification, right? Knowing what it really, really costs you to deliver that product and service. And that's more than just materials, food cost, and time and people. It's more than that, right? It's from idea to execution. It's everything that's involved with delivering your product or service. Number two is confidence. You cost what you cost, right? And I had a business mentor tell me, that if a customer says your price is wrong, then they aren't the right customer for you, right? So, just really take that in, that if a customer says your price is wrong, then they aren't the right customer for you. And I really, really believe that, right? I love working with customers and clients who don't waver at my prices, right? It's just not an issue. Everybody wants to work with that, right? Nobody wants to go to a restaurant and somebody's nitpicking the bill apart, or, well, can you take this off and can you do this? Or, you're trying to deliver a catering service or personal chef service and somebody's trying to nickel and dime you dip. Like, that just takes the fun out of what we do. And so having that confidence based on your justification, right, to say, hey, yeah, like, and know that even your high price is a deal. So this is what I know. Let me digress here for a second. One of the things that I know, that even though I charge higher prices, I know that higher price is still a deal for the quality of service and product people are getting from me. It's still a deal, right? So higher price doesn't mean less of a deal, right? So like I said, we run anything that's personalized is luxury, right? I've said that in many, many times, right? The third thing is knowledge, knowing what's available to you, right? And asking those questions and knowing what questions to ask, right? Because there are questions that can be asked to get you what you are worth, right? So that was number three. Number four is your branding. And this one is huge. I'm going to spend a substantial amount of time on branding in the Chefpreneur Academy, because listen, it's your first impression. Before people taste your food, before they even meet you, they're going to meet your brand. And I will tell you, whether it's being a chef or any other business, people are going to look you up first. And I have decided not to work with people, not to recommend people. Let me tell you something, guys. I get a lot of requests in my chef businesses for things that I do not provide, right? Like, for instance, I don't cater. Okay, I just don't enjoy it, so I don't do it. I get a lot of requests for catering. I send those I refer those requests to people who I know are high quality, their brand is together, and they have a premium quality product or service, right? If they don't have that together, they could be an amazing chef. If their branding is not together, I'm not sending it. Good or bad, right? If you don't have a web presence, how am I supposed to send people to you? Okay, so branding is super important. And then the fifth and final thing is just asking. You have to have the confidence and the posture to ask. Just like now, I'm going to say, hey, listen, if you really, really want to get your prices together, and you know that in order to do that, your branding needs to be together, your business model needs to be right. You need to have a social media strategy, a marketing strategy. You need to have an online and offline marketing strategy, right? You need to know what other products and services you can have in your business to have more than one income stream, right? Then I'm going to say, then you might want to consider the Chefpreneur Academy. So I'm going to put the link in the comments. And I don't see any questions. bit.ly/Chef Academy. But listen, I'm trying to type while I'm still live streaming. This is hilarious. But yeah, guys, so I went a little long today. I apologize about that. And let me just put that in the comments. It might not. Let me edit that. I don't think that's the right link. All right, you guys. There we go. It's bit.ly chefs with an S Academy, all lowercase. It's right here in the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that this was beneficial. Let me know in the comments or in the group what other questions you have. I'll still be talking about pricing probably for the next maybe 1 or 2 live streams, and then I'll start talking about marketing because that was the next thing. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this group, and thank you for your time and your input. I hope that this group so far has been beneficial towards you. If you're not on my email list, you definitely want to do that. If you signed up for the Chefpreneur workshop, then you are, and I just sent you guys an email asking you, is the price right? So, all right, you guys, happy Tuesday, and I will see you later.